Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the project for today's video. A little caricature bust. I like to do a lot of these guys just as practice pieces and doodles, just to have something to carve where I don't really have the ambition or the desire to do a large piece. These are fun to try new things, get some new ideas, and work on different techniques. So stay tuned and I will show you how I created this one. Be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back. What I thought we'd do today is just go through and make a caricature bust. I like to do a lot of these just as kind of a general practice type piece. A lot of times it's just a doodle. I just grab a block of wood and sit down and carve whatever comes to mind in the moment. Sometimes if I'm wanting to make a new character, I will practice a bust first, just kind of get a idea of what the face should look like before committing to a larger piece. And if you want to try different expressions, different techniques for forming the facial features, I really suck at ears, so I do a lot of these just to practice that, so I can hopefully improve and my larger pieces that I'm maybe going to sell or enter in a show or something like that can hopefully be better. So I like to do a good many of these, constantly. I generally try to have one or two that I'm piddling with along the way, at all times. So first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and set where the head and the neck are going to be. So I'm using my soft V here. You can use whatever tool you like. Sometimes I'll just do it with a knife, but I want to get that chin set and go ahead and start laying that chest back. Don't worry too much about that just yet, but that's the starting point for us. And then the same thing, with the back of the shoulders here, or his back, I'm going to go ahead and actually I want to push his head forward just a little bit while I got the knife in hand. One thing that I like is don't make the spine stick straight where that head and shoulders and everything are in a straight alignment. Most of us, especially in the age of the cell phone, have a little bit of a hunch to our back, and I want that spine to round and the neck to be angled a little bit forward on my pieces. I'm going to go ahead and while I got the soft V in hand, just going to connect those two to get that neck area separated. And then I can start working on this head. Now, since I'm working on the flat side here, I've got to build that angle for the face You know, this face, and let's go ahead and draw a center line here. And then I want to get a rough one going this way because that helps me to locate where the ears are going to be here in just a little while. So that head or face shape is going to be somewhat like that. And then of course the back is going to be more round. And I'm not going all the way to the edges because I do want to leave room for the ears here. And then shape it somewhat like that. So I'm going to just grab a knife and start working on these facial planes. Whoops. Hope my dog eating in the background isn't bothering you guys. He was fed last night and finally decided he was ready to eat. All right, so that's getting close enough for the time being. And I'm going to come on the back side. Whoop, about messed up. And just start rounding that over. Or at least getting somewhat rounded. And double check, just things don't have to be perfectly even at this point in the game, but you do want to look at the top down and make sure you're at least in the ballpark. Just about did it again. So there's what we've got for the profile now. I've still got a good bit of wood here. We're going to carve a large bit of it away here shortly, but that's kind of the starting point for each one of them that I do. I do need to bring these ears down or the ear area down just a little bit. Okay. So top view, you can see that I've got room here for the nose now. Back of the head is somewhat rounded off. But I want to go ahead and start figuring out where the features are going to be. So general rule of thumb on the heads is, I'm going to kind of sketch in a rough outline here. Our eyes are located at the midpoint, and then the top of the ear is going to be in line with that eye line. Between the eyes and the chin, the nose sits halfway. And again, the bottom of the ear is in line with that. That's a starting point. Now, this one, I might bring those eyes up just a little bit more on this one. So I'm going to redraw that to there. All right. So then I'm going to use a soft V here. And I'm just not really trying to carve anything. I'm just laying the groundwork for those ears are going to be placed down the road. That way I know I can avoid those areas. Sorry, I can't find the right tool. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and start shaping this neck a little bit. So I'm using this, I believe it's a 5/8. Sorry. I got the glasses. Yep, 5/8, number 9 here. Now I want to start rounding that neck over, and 2, I want them to have a neck. I know when I first started carving, that was one of the things my pieces really lacked, was a neck. Just because I didn't know how to handle it. But using a wide number 9 like this, to me, really helps. Because you can get the shape correct pretty easily. Versus trying to, come in with a knife and leaving a bunch of, hard marks there. And one thing also with these necks, I still have a tendency to make them way too wide and bulky. Really thin those things down. It gives the overall piece a much better look if you work on getting those necks fairly thin. My buddy Josh Arroyo does a masterful job with that area. Something that I still struggle with, but if you want some inspiration, check out his Instagram page. They're really incredible. I'm gonna get rid of some of this wood just because it makes it easier for it to hang on to the piece. And I can see, looking here, that this shoulder is a little bit higher. So let's go across there with that gouge again. Again, they don't have to be perfectly even at this point, but it does help if you're in the ballpark. All right, so there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and square that chin off a little. I don't carve a lot of females, mainly because I really suck at them. But if you were to make this a female, we'd want to really pinch that chin down tight, make it as small as possible. But for a male, you know, having a wide, boxy chin just works. All right, so I got that. Kind of check the profile, make sure I'm happy with it. And I want to go ahead and lay in where that hairline is going to be. Again, I'm just going to grab the soft V here. You can use a V tool, you can use a knife. I like starting these cuts with the soft V personally, just because you can move that. If we're not happy with where that cut is, it's pretty easy to move it up and down if you don't have that hard cut or hard gouge, you know, like a V tool or a knife is going to give you. I don't want to take a ton of the wood away from over the ears just yet until I decide what hairstyle I'm going with, but I do want to pop those ears out away just a tad. All right, so we've got the top and bottom of the ear located. Now let's locate the front. The front of the ear is on the midline or the center line of the profile. So try to look down the top, make sure they're pretty even. And again, I'm gonna grab that soft V and I'm gonna lay it on its side. So that I'm putting this plane in at the same time that I'm locating the ear. I can see that this one sits a tad bit lower. That's fine. It's easy enough to fix. I think Just try to get them fairly even. Still looks to be a little bit low, but it might be the direction I was cutting. Just leaving that, yeah. All right. So now that I'm looking at this head, top of the head is here, chin, of course, here. That eye line, not too bad. It might be a tad high. So I'm gonna bring it to there, and then I'm gonna bring this nose up just a touch to there. For the nose, stop cut, relieve up to it. Don't go too deep with this just yet. If you want any type of facial hair, mustache, beard, whatever, you need enough wood left there to be able to form those. And now I'm gonna shape the nostrils here. So I'm gonna make these cuts about like this. Thing on that side. Just want to, if you read Marv Kaiserstadt's book, he talks about the M cut to shape the nose. That's what I'm doing here. And then I want to lay that wood back to the forehead area. I'm not completely carving away where my eye line is going to be, but I want that nose to stand out a little bit. I'm gonna come in, so our nose should be a ball shape here, ball shape here, ball shape here. That's very, very rough, but hopefully you get the point. I'm gonna come in just above that middle ball and just do a rolling or a swoop cut up. You see what that does to the profile there. There we go. Now let's get those eyes back in, or the eye line rather. And a center line just to help keep things even. There we go. Now, let's shape that nose. Center line looks to be a little bit off. I think that's what's making it look a little odd to me. Again, I'm going to go back to my trusty soft V, and I'm kind of holding it at an angle and riding up the side of that nose. That helps me to just kind of shape the nose as I go. I'm going to catch on something there, so I'm going to take a little bit smaller bite. Just run it up against the grain, and I was going to split. But if I remove whatever was catching above it, that helps. Smooth out these cheeks, go up to that brow ridge. Now I can figure out where those smile lines are going. Start shaping that part of the nose there. Looks to be a little bit off. Not bad though. That's one of those things. Don't get bogged down in trying to major in the minors on keeping everything completely even. As long as you're in the ballpark, it'll be fine. All right. Now I want to kind of shape the head here. So I'm going to come in from the temple area, and then again from right there at the jawline. I want to leave them a fairly wide chin though. So I'm going to just shape something like that. There we go. Again, check the profile, make sure I'm happy with that. I'm going to lay these ears back just a touch, kind of tapering towards the face. So I'm going to do more here soon to make those pop out even more. All right, let's shape these ears. Basically, I'm just going to do a rough C shape, but I want to leave some meat down there at the bottom for ear lobes. I am going to just use a V-gouge for this. The reason I'm going to go ahead and do this now is so I know where to locate his jaw. Farther. There we go. All right, so that jaw is going to basically come straight down from the inside of that earlobe. For that, I'm going to use this 3/8 number 9 here. I'm just aiming to the bottom of the neck, like so. Now that I've got that jaw in place, I can finish shaping this neck, or at least get some more meat from around there, thin it down some more. I've got something, pretty decent stop cut to run up against. There we go. All right. I'm just going to work on making that neck a little more round. All right. So that's the building blocks for most any male figure that I would carve. So now let's figure out what this fella's going to be. All right, so I want to make this a happy character. Big smile on his face, big grin. So the first thing I'm going to do is put those smile lines in. And now that I got those in place, I can begin shaping the outside of the nose. And I'm going to form these, whatever you call them. I call them the wings. I like to just do this with a knife cut. If you do that, be careful and don't go too deep. This isn't a really heavy cut. I'm just removing a tiny sliver right there. Try my best to make them even. Now, let's get to the mouth area. So that mouth is going to be 3 planes. So 1, 2, 3. Reason for that is that dental mound is round. We want to be able to see, if we're looking at the profile, we want to be able to see half the mouth on this side and half the mouth on this side. I'm fairly happy with that for the time being. Now I can move on and start on these eyes. I'm going to come and carve a tiny little notch right there in that brow line. I'll start on this side first. And that's just going to be that triangle cut or chip cut, whatever you want to call it. There we go. And I'm going to soften that area just a touch. And I'm going to use that soft V and just split the area between his eyebrows. And then I'll come right in above his eyebrows and make a flat cut for his forehead. All right. So these eyes are going to angle up slightly. Reason for that, I want him to be happy and smiling. I don't want that brow to be furrowed. Now I need to get the inside of this eye area shaped out. So I'm going to grab this little veiner and give some depth there. As you can see, that really brings the bridge of that nose out even more. And just clean those cuts up. Now, when I form these eyes, this area here will have some depth to it, which is what we want. All right, let's keep on working here. I'm going to bring that eyeball eyeball down. Actually, I don't want to go that far, so I'm going to aim for right there. We want the bottom of that lower eyelid to be about halfway down the nose. And just double checking to make sure things are fairly even. You're not. That's all right. You're close enough. And I'm going to round that eyeball over just a little bit. Like that. And at the same time, I'm helping form that cheekbone. Okay, I'm going to grab that wide number 9 there, pinch the temples in just a little bit again to help form that cheekbone. All right, fairly happy with that. So we can keep moving forward. All right. Now let's give this guy a mouth. And I think this one might have a mustache. So that mustache and the outside corners of the mouth are going to be roughly in line with the outside of the ears, like that. And I'm going to hang that mustache over just a little bit. Like so. And I'm going to grab that V tool. And just shape that up. Alright. I'm going to give them just a hint of a grin peeking out from under there. I'm gonna do this mainly with a knife. I'll try to keep it in the frame and keep from blocking your view. All I'm gonna do is just ride that knife tip all the way around. I'm laying the knife at a little bit of an angle to help form that bottom lip. And stop cut here, just pop that corner out. Stop cut there, pop that corner out. Do stop cut up here just for the shadow. Same thing on this side. There. Now let's give them a bottom lip. That's going to ride or come right along here and up into that corner. And for that, I'm going to use this little veiner. Little dockyard tool is also handy for forming that lip, but we don't want a hard edge there. That's not a V cut. Use something soft. And now, of course, you see the chin is popped way out there. We can kind of shape that up. Like so. I'm gonna grab, this is the 3/8, number 9, and form a chin area a little bit more. I'm gonna go with this wider one here and just make it a little bit smoother. There we go. I want to narrow the top of his head down a little bit more now that I look at it. All right. You can see I still got a good bit of meat on that neck area that needs to be trimmed down. We'll take that soft V, clean up that jawline just a touch. And again, I can go back to that wide 9, the 5/8. Keep working my way around. We want that jaw to stand proud of the neck. So there's that. All right, let's while I'm working here, let's form the back of that head. So the skull shape is round back here, and then the neck connects in there. So I'm going to start with just that soft V, and what I'm going to aim for is right there about midway up the earlobe. Same thing on this side. I'm just going to again try to keep it even as much as possible. And come back and clean it up some more. I'm fairly happy with that. Now we need to do the same thing on the top. We need to round it over. Again, I'm not going to take away too much just yet because I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to handle the hair. But getting it to somewhat the correct shape does help with being able to envision that. So I'm going to take away some of those hard corners. And make it roundish. If you wanted to give them sideburns, of course you would need to leave a little bit more wood in that area, but I'm just going to turn that hairline right back and over the ears. And I'm going to go ahead and shape these ears up, see what I can do with those. I've asked you guys for critiques on my filming process. I greatly appreciate the ones you've been offered. I'm working on trying to make these videos better, but at the same time, I would really appreciate if you have any critiques to offer in my carving process. I do not claim to be any type of authority whatsoever. Matter of fact, I don't claim to be even decent. I'm not showing anyone here the way. I'm just showing my way. And if you can see any way that I can improve that, let me know. I do really like to open myself up for critique and criticism. I have thick skin as far as that goes. I can promise you I can take it. I do often seek it out because that has made a world of difference in my carving abilities. It's just getting critiques and criticisms that I can go back and work on. Just cleaning up this area a little bit right now. Neck was still pretty chunky, and I was fairly satisfied with where I had things placed, so I can go ahead and make some harder cuts there, because I know I'm going to give them a shirt collar or something of the like. I do have an idea for a video that I might try to do here pretty soon. Something that's very different, but not anything I've seen any other YouTube carvers tackle, and that's hand health for carvers. I do know a few tips and tricks that I think would be beneficial. What brought it to mind is I'm actually struggling with that right now. My hands just don't feel great today. Been dealing with some lingering tendonitis issues, some tennis elbow. So I need to attack that and get it fixed. So let me know if you'd like to see a video on that subject. Wouldn't be any type of specialized equipment, something that's readily available, or most all of us have at home anyways. I may try to put that one out in the next few weeks if you guys would like to see it. All right, so there's that. Fairly happy with everything so far. Now we got to get to the details. So let's give this whole feller some eyes. We're going to do a deep stop cut. That was wanting to split out on me already. That's fine. That wood needed to go anyways, but not the cleanest. Where that's attached. There we go. All right. Be careful with this one because I've got a lot of unsupported wood there now. That would be easy to split out. I'm going to take just a little nibble there first. See, you want a couple of fibers wanting to hang up in there. I think I got them now. Let's do the same thing on this other side. Sorry, I just noticed I was starting to migrate. Hopefully you all were able to see that. That's been the hardest part of this filming process for me, is trying to figure out how to keep it all in frame, because I get so caught up in the moment, I'm not paying attention to my phone screen here, trying to make that cut, and then I notice I've wandered way off to the side. Didn't do the best job of keeping the eyes even, but I think they're close enough. All right. Give them some crow's feet. Form those eyelids. Now let's get the bottom eyelid shaped up. With the eyes, the more time you take to make sure that they're smooth, the easier it'll be to paint. So I really want to make sure I got all those little hangnails out of there. All right. Now I'm going to all right, had a phone pop up and let me know that I was out of storage, so had to go clean some stuff out. Make sure I could finish this video. There's those laugh lines. You know, all those little wrinkles and whatnot just add character to the piece. So do as many of them as you'd like. Now let's shape this ear up. I'm gonna form the whatever the little doohickey flap there is. If you can't tell, I'm not much of an anatomy guy, so I'm just going to use this 5mm dockyard tool, and I don't want to push this straight in. I'm coming in at an angle here to make that edge stronger. That way when I clean up against it, I'm not as prone to busting the entire thing completely off. I'm just working to get some depth to that ear now. And it may need to go back a couple times with that stock cut. Just make sure it's in there like I need it. And let's try our best to, now I want to take that hard edge off of there also. We want that to be a smooth transition from the face to the ear. And I need to bring that back just a touch. There we go. Now let's try our best to match that on the other side. Again, coming in at an angle. And that was my stop cut. Now I'm just going to relieve this wood surrounding it. Give it some depth. Again, I want that transition to be smooth. So I'm just going to take a little sliver right there. And now I'm going to step up a little bit bigger gouge and just keep on smoothing that area out. Fairly happy with that. It looked to be pretty even. Now let's get the details on the inside of the ear. So I want to make that fold here. Something like that. We use this little veiner. I'm actually going to go back with that backyard and clean that out. Right there in that corner. I'm gonna use my knife to get some more depth there. Maybe. Little chips wanting to hang in there, and I gotta be careful where I'll bust that earlobe off. It's going to be aggravating though. go. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Bring that fold around. I'm just gonna scoop out that with that dockyard. Bring that fold down and get some depth right there. And I'm actually going to do another cut right above the little flappy doohickey. And add an extra fold or two inside the ear. That one going up, and I guess I'm going down. There we go. Just rounding over some of these features now. He's got a pretty wide mustache, but kind of like that. So I'm gonna stick with it. All right. So we're getting somewhere. And let's give this fella a part line. So I'm gonna start that off as always with the soft V, because I want to be able to move that if I choose, until he's got some pretty big hair. I can bring that down some. And I don't want to go too deep on this cut, but I want to throw a shadow in right there where the part lies. And lay this on down a little bit more. And round off the head more as we go as well. All right. Kind of like that. So I'm going to grab the V-tool and lock that part in. Now, let's bring that up just a little bit now to look at it, up above his eyebrows. All right, for hair, I'm going to use, again, the V-tool. And I just want to kind of give indications of flow. If you've seen my Santa video or the wood spirit, you know, I treat all hair pretty much the same way. I don't try to really carve hair beyond just kind of groups to give the indication of what's going on. Again, I'm going back to talking about the beards there. One thing I mentioned is no straight lines. I'm doing my best here to do the same thing. Avoid any and all straight lines. Now on a crown, that hair kind of circles there, so be mindful of that when you're putting these hair groups in. There's that. And then I can go back and clean up that part line with my knife or V-tool or whatever. And then I'll take that little veiner, just make a few random cuts in there, just for extra texture. And the same rule always applies. No straight lines. Don't want a lot of flat surfaces either. So just give it some interest. And I'm gonna split those eyebrows one more time, because I kind of cut that away. Now let's form them. Just grab, this is a tiny little 1.5 millimeter die-card tool. Just give them a little texture on those eyebrows. Got to be careful using these small tools. Don't try to take off too much of a bite, or those wings will catch and split the wood out. And really got to feel when that's about to happen and know you need to back off and go the other direction or whatever. All right. Clean up the nose some. Now let's give him, well actually, let's give him some nostrils first. So I'm gonna take that 5 mil die card. And this cut is kind of going up and around and in. And then mustache is going to be pretty similar to how I do other hair. It's more bunches and just kind of working on that flow. I'll use a couple different tools. One of these die cards has got a damaged edge. Oh, that's the one. I don't want to use that one. I don't know what I did. I don't know if you guys can see it. If I get it to focus in. There's a pretty good little chunk out of there. It's going to need some work. This mustache hair, again, it doesn't flow towards the center, so I want to be mindful of that. And then I use the same tool to kind of break up the edge here. So I don't want that hard line to be visible. And I can even go back with my knife and put a few little chips or breaks in that mustache just for those extra shadows and extra interest there. You can do as many of these or as few as you like. I do think it helps on the final piece. And again, these little caricature busts are a good way to practice little details like that, so you get a pretty good feel for them. All right. So, fairly happy with the head. Let's finish dressing this guy up. All I'm doing here is just removing some wood from underneath where his collar's going to go. And then I want to take some wood out of the middle there where the collar's going to lay back. And for the collar itself, I'm going to make roughly an M shape. I'm just going to take a pretty deep chip cut out right here. Same thing on this side. And it's going to ride V-tool around like so to separate that collar. Like that. I want to shape up the collar itself. I don't like that to be a straight line. So I'll just take this gouge and go right around on the inside of that collar. And right here in the middle, this is kind of a tough area to get to. Just want to separate it out. There we go. And kind of use my knife to shape that up a little bit more, smooth it out. Now I can make a good stop cut all around the top of that collar. Make sure I stick that neck down inside there. Sorry, starting to migrate again. That jawline I want to be a little bit stronger right there, so I can make that a knife cut. Clean up that chin a little bit while I'm working in this area. Now that I got his collar in place, all right, let's give him a shirt. And maybe a button or two. So for the buttons, I'm going to use this Dockyard, and I'm using the same technique that I did on the ear. I'm coming in at an angle. Yeah, I used a bad one. Why didn't somebody tell me? Relief cut's not wanting to turn loose for me. Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm not too happy with that button. think I'm going to scrap it and start over. All right. Put that one well out of sight. Be a little bit bigger button, but that'll work. So let's try this again. There we go. I like that better. Let's do one more down here. And I like to, on these, just add some wrinkles where the fabric's pulling. Just areas of interest. Little details that make a piece stand out. That's it. There's a little caricature bust. Get rid of some of these saw marks just because I don't like leaving them on anything. Kind of round some of these hard edges off too. There you have it. There's a little fella. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, let me know what you think. Any way I can improve. I greatly appreciate any and all feedback that everyone has offered so far. But if you haven't done any of these, give it a try. It's a lot of fun, good way to practice, and these are fun to swap with friends and whatnot. So gives you the opportunity to learn something, try something new, and maybe pick up one or two from different people, and gives you a good study piece So have at it, give it a try, and if you do, tag me. If you are on Instagram or anything, please tag me when you do them. I'd love to see what you guys do with them. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.